whether you like it or not.
I won't be sharing my screen until I press more buttons. So yeah.
I went back for quite a while actually, and was just doing a playthrough to get screenshots because I had some screenshots lying around. And they weren't all that old, but they were old enough where it was like, oh, can't use these.
Mm.
Yeah, which is, I mean, it's obviously a good sign, but yeah, good times, dope rhymes.
What was I love seeing the little things that change along the way that maybe you forgot about. What were some of the telltales that it was too old?
So the most recent one was that little text pass that I did that made a bunch of stuff a little easier to read.
Mm-hmm.
Makes a lot of stuff a lot easier to read when you're grabbing screenshots and zooming them at different
Got it.
amounts. Like that little bit of crispness, once you start messing with it, like it's just a better fidelity starting point. I had one really good old screenshot um, that had like the old highlight VFX. It had the old. It didn't still have the old tile lines in it, but it definitely had like an old background in it. Like it was pre. Um,
Yeah, the tile lines changed along the way. I recall doing that sort of on a whim.
but most of it was like the newer backgrounds and the newer text legibility.
When I was
Gosh
doing,
forbid.
I spent some time on Friday working on, as you know, a postcard with some cruft imagery and sort of links on it. And one of the things that stuck out looking at the old image you handed me, and what I was able to take a screenshot from the game was the shadow. Just the effect of that little shadow
Yep.
on every item was really pronounced. It's subtle, but when you see them side by side, you're like, wow.
Dope stuff. So, I hope everyone out there in internet land had a good weekend. I had a barbecue at my house, cooked a bunch of lamb.
Oh yeah, how'd that go?
It was good. It was good. We had 20, maybe 25 people. Um, a little bit of a flare up on the grill that I had to sort out, but
Oh,
all
the
the food
worst.
came out really good. People had a good time. It's pretty chill. Lots of little kids running around the yard. Everybody's got little kids. It's
All
good.
right, I'm gonna turn my screen on. Still fussing with my Windows. Sorry.
It's all good.
I have a lead on another monitor that'll make some of this juggling easier for me.
Big ass projector.
I don't think any of these walls would even work. Okay,
So what are we doing?
what are we doing? I am struggling to share my screen. Okay, so we're gonna the big thing that I was working on last was Deep's stuff. Friday afternoons are always spent on Game 2, Deeps, and
Well, what is Deeps?
Deeps is a uh, evil aquarium mutations collecting combinatorial humor sea monkey farm game.
It's perfect.
Um, yeah, it kind of draws inspiration from Chillquarium, but with a huge dose of evil mutating magic. Um, there's some lunatic ravings going on here. There are different aspects. I think sort of the idea behind combinatorial humor is that we built this system that lets you sort of play with ingredients and see how it comes out, right? Like my kids over the weekend were playing potion and they were just like dropping stuff in the water to see what would happen.
Yeah.
And I think this is similar to that. This is throwing stuff into the mix and seeing what happens.
To be super clear, we don't exactly know exactly what's getting thrown into the mix or exactly what happens, but we do know there's going to
I
be
think that
things swimming around.
undersells it a little bit. I feel like I have a pretty clear idea that there's like these different aspects. You know, we've done some work to sort of give them character. There's a compass coming together. Like we're building a compass that will help make those kinds of decisions when we have more detailed questions that need answering.
I don't think I'm underselling it. I'm saying that like we still have an amazing amount of flexibility around how plopping stuff in here, like what it actually, all of the alchemy has not been worked out.
For sure. Yeah. Um, this is another little side note, not too related to what I was doing, but I did go through one of those old Dragon magazines that I mentioned.
Yeah.
Pulled out some fun pictures. Here's a fish vomiting on some hapless fishermen.
Oh yeah.
This
Oh
this
yeah.
this is a thick boy. This guy's got some real thick aspect to him. No,
Indeed.
yeah.
Indeed. Also,
Just because you're a regular fish doesn't mean you can't ruin some fisherman's
you
day.
can't be abominable. Shout out to Badger who just ordered another monitor. Are you getting a bendy monitor? You getting a Sector special? Well, it wraps around your entire head. We'll leave that as food for thought. But yeah, like
Yeah.
I think this picture is pretty fantastic in that it shows everything in summation that I fear about deep waters. It's like it's not even some like it's just big and vomiting. And like that's enough and it's
Yeah.
sending a guy off the boat, like never get out of the boat. It's all the good stuff.
So good. Here's some more fun images. I just love this image. This is like more than you bargained for, Bob.
Yeah.
It's like absolute trouble. And then this one's from one of the sections, one of the articles inside the magazine, but it has that. It actually reminds me a lot of this same scene from. It's hard to tell what this is, but I think this is Mandalorian when they're in the depths of Mandalore and they find that giant creature in the water. This is same vibe to me, only from 1991 with a mermaid, which got me thinking we could have mer zombies.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Fun stuff.
A little heads up from Joe. Paleontologists have discovered a three-eyed creature with a pencil sharpener-like mouth that roamed the sea for prey more than 500 million years ago. Like that is like
Oh yeah, look at this guy.
ballin'. Like what an interesting topic.
Just yoink that. There we go.
It's just like, yeah, thanks. Thanks for the hero board. It's yeah, like sincere thanks. I just find this to be, especially like due to my personal deeps horror, just like an amazingly awesome topic. It has been something that I have like wielded in so many D&D and other tabletop campaigns, like doing the thing where like, hey, you put the battle map out, but like you don't have like big drawing on it, and then you pull up like two boats. It's like, yeah, you're just sailing off to this island. And then you start pulling out the big monster. And like the idea of like fighting with just like, hey, the classic thing a player always says, like, what happens if I fall in the water? I'm like, I don't know.
You want to find out?
You want to find out? Like, yeah. And I always say that. I'm like, I'll crack the rules open if you end up in the water. But like, people are always like, how good of a swimmer am I? Because like it doesn't come like some good dungeon masters make you swim quite a bit, but then all of a sudden, like the player who's in full plate is like, Yeah. Also, of note.
Yeah, how quickly can you shed that armor as you sink?
The answer to that is not quick enough, historically speaking. But it actually comes up in Game of Thrones. The we do not sow the Ironborn dudes. They like they have a whole class of warriors that like fights on ships in full plate, and their whole
Mhm.
thing is like, if I fall off the boat, I'm done. It's fine. However,
Yep.
I get to do this like everyone else is in their like nice leather corsair stuff, and they're walking around, two-handed hammer, full plate mail. Fight me,
Totally.
bro.
It's totally a move.
It is a move.
So thinking about deeps is super fun. I've been working more on the guts of it, which has a lot less visually to show off, but there are some critters now in the game that we can see when I press play. So I'll just start there.
Can
Uh,
you? Is there any way you can play it a little bit more maximally than small?
I don't want to full
Yeah.
max it because I need my nerdy windows
Yep.
to sort of continue talking about what we've got. Is this better?
It's significantly larger.
Cool. Yeah, fortunately, there's not a lot of detail going on. Once the scene loads up, there's going to be 3 fish.
3 critters.
Yep, here they are, and they have different motion parameters plugged in. Um, these are my fish. I'm very proud of them. I spent about 35 seconds making them in
I am quite proud that you
yeah,
just went in and made some
next.
fish. It's like it's a big step when you're just like, I need a fish. I'm just
I
gonna
need a
make a
fish.
fish.
Just
That's
gonna
how
make
that's how
fish.
cruft started. It was like, I need a poop. I need a pig.
Yep.
So is this
Um,
modeling buoyancy in some way?
Glad you asked. So it's not modeling buoyancy per se, but it is using a motion control system, sort of a motion interpolation technique that's been around for centuries called PD controller, and that was one of the things I was going to dive into. But before I dive into that too much, so we now have critters, as evidenced by these little guys on the screen,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm going to show you some code, but I'm going to gloss over it super quickly. We've got um, a lot of work in sort of like basic data land for some of the components we talked about. We have sockets, we have definitions for appendages, which are what gets attached to a socket, as well as the general critter anatomy structure, which is a collection of sockets that might have appendages on them.
Can I ask a
And
stump will question?
yeah, sure.
What does PD stand for?
Proportional derivative.
Damn, I thought I had you.
Um,
You probably just made that up. But I,
we'll
I
get it.
wouldn't know.
We'll
I
get
gotta
into.
trust you. I gotta
We'll
trust you.
totally get into it. Yeah, yeah. I can't. Can I tell you like why it's called that, or in depth why those terms are appropriate? Not really. I
I can't tell
uh,
you why eucalyptus is called eucalyptus, but I know
I
what it is.
skipped calculus to work on games in my dorm room, so like I I have some gaps.
Sweet. Good.
But yeah, we can get into it a little more. Anyway, so there's like a more basic. There are some basic structures in place for expressing the shape of a critter. They're not totally all wired together yet. I'm still trying to like land this mess in my head, but there's a system. There's a place where we can now sort of instantiate critters and invoke a chum or hook method on them. There's a little bit of like sketched out enums for their life cycle and the behavior. Like a lot of the stuff from the Miro is now has a corresponding place in the code. Um, and then I got to the point where I was like, okay, I got to make the critter float on screen. And then I said, crap, and now I have to bring over our PD controller code from cruft, because cruft uses the same proportional derivative control system to move things around.
What does it use it for?
Everything it uses for all item motion. So when you drag an item around, the PD controller is what's keeping the item following your cursor. When you craft something at a station, the PD controller governs its movement from its position in your yard into the station. When you collect from a station, it governs its movement from the station to its new place in the yard.
Oh, so when a cow poops, PD
When a cow
controller
poops,
governs
PD
the poop.
controller gets a nice handful of that and moves it. Yep.
Trying to think if there's anything else.
Here's
So
the
basically, anything that moves around that is not UI is going through this system.
exactly. So the PD controller,
With the exception,
the better intro to it is probably over here.
with the exception of the van and the loading screen.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the van in the play scene probably does still PD. Or does it?
Nope, it doesn't.
Ha!
So
that one's using
I
the
mean, that,
MZ engine of move something from right to left and left to right.
yeah. It's a collaboration between a human and the Unity engine. I mean, ultimately, all animations are in game engine contexts like this are curves, right? I have a value and it changes over time on a curve. When you have a discontinuity, when a value jumps from one value to some other value far away, it looks wrong. It looks like it's just teleporting or instantly popping from one position to another. And we try to avoid that in almost like all cases in a game, right? Like you want to see things fade in and out. You want them to swoop onto the screen. You don't want it to just pow appear there.
Can I throw you a softball?
Sure.
I know that every frame that happens under the hood doesn't happen at the same frequency and not necessarily even in sync with the video. How do you make things not jump around when, based on how your machine's operating in any given millisecond, sometimes a frame is this long and sometimes a frame's that long?
Yeah. Unity exposes this value for you to use. It's called delta time, and in a lot of sort of like game programming functions and stuff here, they use delta time to correct for inconsistencies in frame rate. So the time since the last frame might be a 60th of a second, or it might be a lot more than that if things are lagging. If you're paying attention, you'll see these skips. The game will appear to stutter, but it won't. What you don't want is for that to actually change the ultimate behavior of the game. Like if I'm moving at 10 miles an hour and the game hitches, I don't want to all of a sudden have been only moving 2 miles an hour during that hitch, right?
A classic place where this comes up a lot is with projectiles and walls, where the game hitches enough where the velocity of the projectile would put it on the other side of the wall, and you're like, well, like if you ever play a game where like you're playing in an MMO and you slide through the bottom of the ground, it's because there was some in this case connection issue where it's like, well, it was assuming you were falling at this speed and then it didn't get any update, and by the time it got an update you were already underneath the planet and bye.
This stuff was the bane of my existence when I was first starting out and doing these things in Flash. Flash was like my first game engine, and it didn't really have this concept of variable frame rate or any like easy stuff that you could deal with. So I was constantly clipping, my characters were constantly clipping into the wall and then being stuck there because my code was like, no, you're on a wall, like you can't move now. And so I had to do all this like after the fact correction, like move it back. It was awful. It was an awful way to live. So delta time is your friend. Okay, so yeah, PD controllers. This is not like a game programming concept. This is like an engineering concept. If you think about like autopilot systems and airplanes, like these are using PD controller. Like this is a well understood, well developed control system. And there's this crazy equation here, but I'm going to break it down. So first of all, whenever you see d2y over dt squared, that's acceleration. That's just fancy physics math terms for acceleration. By the way, the other thing is all of this stuff came from, I learned all of this stuff from watching this particular GDC Vault talk, and it's free because it's old enough that anyone can access it. So if you're interested in sort of learning about game programming and moving things around on the screen with code, this is a great talk to watch. And if you just want the PD controller, skip to like minute 40, and that's where he really gets into this stuff. Anyway, so we're basically trying to decide how much we should move an object this frame, right? We're trying to decide what its acceleration is, and we're trying to do it in a way that's not discontinuous, that's not lurching or popping. So okay, there's a bunch of components to this equation, but there's basically 4. There's 2 indecipherable symbols that make me panic, this weird W and this, I'm not even sure how to describe this kind of curly C. We'll get into them in a minute. This part here, error, x minus y, this is just your distance to where you want to go. So if I'm trying to move the fish to the center of the screen, error is the distance from where the fish is now to the center of the screen.
It's how wrong you are about where you want to be.
Right. Error is like, if you look up sort of engineering literature on this, they'll call this error, but I kind of think of it as distance. Like this is your distance to your target.
Mm-hmm.
And then this component here is your current velocity. And why this is in the mix is because I don't want to all of a sudden be magically changing my velocity on a drop of a dime, right? Like real objects don't go from 60 miles an hour this way to going 60 miles an hour this way. That's unnatural and it looks wrong. So your current velocity is part of the PD controller function. And then these 2 components, the ones that make me break out in a cold sweat, are for governing the influence of these 2 terms on your velocity. So for your error and for your velocity, they're going to be proportional to these configurable values. So
what do you mean by that?
They're going to be influenced by them. They're going to be changed. They're going to be I mean, really, they're going to be multiplied by them in mathematic terms. We're multiplying these things together. Again, going back to the the analogy of throwing a bunch of stuff in a soup and making a potion, like we're kind of making a number soup here that does what we want with the velocity of our object. So
is that W, that Wu-Tang in the first section, like saying, hey, this is how much I care about how far away you are in this equation.
Yep.
And then the second Wu-Tang is how much I'm going to let you correct. It's either like correct your velocity or how much inertia you have.
That's really correct. That so the first W is called omega.
Wu-Tang. Oh, okay.
But it can be called Wu-Tang if you want. The Wu, it's actually Wu too, because in here they square it, and that part I'm a little fuzzy on why, but we'll talk about it still. Yeah, exactly. The omega is for how fast do we want to move, essentially. It's essentially how fast do you want to move. They call it the natural frequency, which if you think about signal processing waves, the frequency of a wave is how fast it oscillates. And so in this context, it's going to be how fast, it's ultimately going to govern how fast the object moves. So a really high value, it's going to approach its target super quickly. The error value is not going to be sort of sliced up that far. The second symbol is called zeta, and it's sort of the opposition to that. It's the damping ratio. And that is what's going to it's going to cause the object to slow down. Without this in the mix, the object will travel forever. This is what provides friction to it. Another way that people describe this is a spring damper system, which is a little bit more intuitive to think about. So the first value, omega, the Wu, that's sort of the tightness of the spring. And then zeta, the second value, is the friction that spring is under.
Interesting.
Right. So now there's more to it here. There's the fact that your W is getting squared and your zeta is getting multiplied by 2 and W. That is optional. And actually in cruft, our PD controller wasn't doing those things. It was just raw omega times error minus
we were raw dogging the PD
theta
controller.
times yeah. And if you remember playing around with those numbers, it wasn't that easy to sort of anticipate what exactly was going to happen. You just kind of had to guess and check, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, so all of this function boils down to is the acceleration of my object is equal to this configured thing, kp, natural frequency squared, the woo, times the distance I have to travel, minus this other configured arbitrary value, this other, the zeta value times velocity. So in this system now, we have each critter with a exposed value that I can set here. So I'll play this again just to
I was going to say, can you
demonstrate.
fire it up again?
Yeah, so the one on the left has a really high, I'm calling it frequency here, natural frequency, the woo, and a really low damping ratio.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one in the middle is a little bit more sane values, and the one on the right is just ones. And see how that impacts them. Hold, please. Cool. So the one on the right, moving super fast, and it's springing back and forth because it has almost no damping ratio. It's a very small value. So it's oscillating a lot.
Left.
I do mean the one on the left.
Okay.
Thank you. It's slowing down, but very, very slowly.
Mm-hmm.
These ones have since totally stopped moving, but I can kind of mess with them a little bit. So this guy overshoots a little bit and then comes to rest pretty quickly. And this guy...
How did you just do that?
I exposed the important variables here in the Unity inspector, so I can change them. And so when I change these values, I plumb them into the PD controller component that this object has, and that'll let it do its stuff. So we can play with them in here to kind of learn a little bit more about these systems. So for example, this fish needs to chill out. I want the motion damping to be a little bit larger. Now it settles down a lot quicker, doesn't it?
Now I could imagine.
It still has some springiness, but
I could have something that's very dampened that is sort of following a track or a completely static thing. Like I could imagine that the fish on the right is invisible and it is just getting a place to go to in very, very chilled out way, just going from wherever I tell it to go, and that the fish in the middle could be like, hey, I'm trying to follow you, and it's got a little bit of overshoot and whatever. It's like a big planet. And that the wily guy on the left is like a small moon or a tiny spaceship or whatever that's like, hey, I'm trying to land on this thing. And like, so you can sort of like immediately get characterization. Or in the case of deeps, like the fish on the right might be an invisible beacon that governs just some fish meandering. The one in the middle might be some gigantic shark type thing. And the one on the left might be the little like remora things that are all just hovering around it like flies on poop.
Yeah. There, now that I made them big, it looks nice. Yeah, and that is the system in a nutshell. Back here in the code, for sort of locking in those characterizations, you know, the planet-sized fish, the little guy following him around, we can sort of save those settings off in this motion character struct and pass it into the system when we want something to behave a certain way. In cruft, we did this with the camera and item creation and item consumption.
You did it
And
with the camera. I thought we just did this on things I could see and move around.
yeah, the camera uses this too. In fact, this is a really good
That was my softball
technique
voice.
to use with the camera because you want camera motion to be really smooth. And
I had forgotten about that, but
PD
yeah.
controller is, yeah, doesn't get smoother than this as far as motion controls go. One thing I do have to do though, because remember how I said that we weren't doing. Here's what happens when you actually. So when you set the motion character of a PD controller, we do the calculation for those sort of derived parts of the function KP and KD. In cruft, we didn't do this, so I have to kind of reverse engineer it so that the values are correct and the behavior of all of those items doesn't look different when we take this update back into cruft. One of the reasons why I'm putting PD controller in the core is so that when we make improvements to the system, that it's easy to port that code into both projects. And in this case, I'll have to sort of get the square root of natural frequency to undo this thing and divide it by 2 and and so on to get the same value. But that'll make those parameters more intuitive, I hope, because and here's why. Here's the effect of doing this little transform that is kind of inscrutable. It means that a damping ratio of 1 will never overshoot the target. That's really it. That's the main payload of doing that extra little bit of math. So if I go
nice easy reference point,
right,
a threshold,
right. I know that. Watch me be proven wrong here. Let's see what happens. I could be wrong. Oh, I have to exit play mode to do that. Right now theoretically, none of these should overshoot their targets, and they might even travel at about the same rate because that damping will change the velocity if it's really strong. Okay, cool. That's actually exactly what I expected. The first fish arrived really quickly because its frequency is really high, 10, but it didn't overshoot. Same thing with the one, fish B has a frequency of 2.5. It arrived second, but didn't overshoot. And then the last fish took its sweet time, but didn't overshoot. And similarly, if we set all of them to 0.1 and ask them to move, now they'll all kind of do this little dance that
wow.
Yeah, you can see it better in the scene view because my camera's weird. Let's see, did I cover everything? Watch this talk, it's really good. Don't be afraid of big functions, look them up because they can be really useful. And this one's actually pretty simple to implement. The actual code that does all this big brainy math stuff is just in here. It's just
I think there's an important
20 lines of
also.
code, and some of this is just like behavior stuff that we can kind of gloss over. I added the ability to pause it, and we didn't want to run extra math if we were already at our target and had no more movement to do. So really, it's just these lines of relatively simple code.
It is. I think stuff like this is pretty important because I'm not fantastic with code, but I've employed stuff like this before where like engineers and math people have figured out a formula. And when you have a formula, it turns out it doesn't actually do, it doesn't splay out into a ton of code. Most of what splays out into a ton of code is like human cared logic. Whereas things like this, you can generally get them into a game. They're kind of, with the exception of some like typing and other, I don't mean typey, I mean object types and stuff like that. Like they tend to be pretty efficient. And you tend to not have to go back to them too much, which is kind of nice. They're just like, all right, simple math. Like as soon as you start caring
that function
about,
is hundreds of years old. Like I don't need to worry about whether it's correct. Like it's pretty good.
Yeah, and it like when you scroll down, like it's not that much code. It's not big.
Yeah, like and this is just getting the distance between 2 points. And this is the actual function. It's actually just this right here. This is us determining the appropriate acceleration for the object in one line. And then everything else is kind of messing with Unity's concept of time and incrementing our notion of current velocity, and then finally like setting the object's position.
How much work is it?
And this guy's over here still oscillating. Cool.
He's still taking his time. How much effort to make this go in 2 dimensions?
Well, it does go in 2 dimensions. It's already working in 2 dimensions. Let's see if I can set.
I mean, there you go. See, the same thing.
Yeah,
that's my point. Is that it is
need to do it in changing one at a time.
It's the point here is that like it also like to extend it out even in 3 dimensions, not too big of a deal. It's always going to be. It's not more. It's just like, all right, same thing again. Per Joe, most problems have already been solved. Amen, brother.
Right.
There's a GDC talk or Stack Overflow post waiting for Google to point you at it. It's true as Google spiders its way through everything.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that there isn't like an amazing amount of creativity in how you choose to use it, but you don't want to literally reinvent the wheel.
That's actually one of the main points on that particular GDC talk as well. This is like, an experienced programmer from Valve basically being like, guys, don't reinvent the wheel. These control systems are super useful. Start here and then tweak it, right?
Yep. Your game may force you to do additional extensions to it, but the core math of how to make something go somewhere with some potential overshoot and then correct itself, that's solved. We don't get to the moon without that. So we got to the moon a while ago, and I'm not accepting questions on whether or not we actually got to the moon.
Close for questions.
Just close for questions. Don't at me, bro.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Oh, and while I still have this up, one other thing that we get to see in a little bit more clarity now that there's some objects with colors on the screen is the way the
they light up.
Yeah, the way the volumes that correspond to each depth of my aquarium can sort of color shift things. So these are properties that are based on the camera position. So when my camera's up here in this top volume, there is this color filter being applied, and then, well, now I'm moving the volume. Oops. And then when I move the camera into the other volume, that's a different color filter.
Yeah. When you move deeper into the deeps.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, so that's it. That's what I've got for deeps updates.
Nice. And we can discuss next steps on Thursday. I'll probably end up saying this multiple times today, but Monday's a holiday, and it's a holiday for us too. So we will not be streaming this coming Monday because it is Memorial Day.
That's right.
So it's a funny thing for us. We had to talk about this morning. Like, what do we do with Memorial Day? It's like, oh, I guess we give ourselves a Memorial Day off. Someone's got to do it. There is no HR department.
It's true.
Sweet. So
yeah, so as far as what we got through on Deeps, we got through some basic critter setup, and we got the PD controller online. Pretty soon, we'll be using that to have the critters float aimlessly, and by pretty soon we mean at the end of the week.
Dope. Pretty darn good. I'm glad we have a second thing in the works. Like, it feels much more like running a studio than grinding away on one project and hoping. So we should probably then shift gears to cruft, which is getting uber close. Uber close. I think we're pretty much going to early access once like the Chivo loop and associated UI are like usable. Does that sound about right? Are we in agreement on that?
Yeah, I think what we want to what we want to have for early access is the full a reason to play multiple times, a reason to go from one yard into another and have a different experience when you do so, right? And that's sort of what the Chivo design accomplishes.
Indeed.
Um, and then a polish pass, because there's going to be some junk that we accrued along the way that
You always got to fix.
Yeah.
And polish is nice. Like, we're in a spot where, as developers, we can literally decide how much we want to polish this thing. And I think, we'll be polishing it somewhat to the end of time. But, early access is, at least in my head, like when everything genuinely starts. Like, you have customers, you're putting the game out there in a way that, like, they're you are on the hook. Like, I don't feel that bad about someone going, I wish this was different in the demo. Even if I agree with it. Like, yeah, that's nice, but it is a demo. Like, we spent our $100 to get the game up on Steam. You get a demo. Like, once it's for real and people start paying for it, then you're talking about like the true long-term health of the game. You get amazing feedback during the demo, but you don't have to make good on it for the demo. Like, it's really about paying forward into the full game. I'm pretty psyched that we're this close. And I'm very used to, like, especially in recent years with mobile, it's like you're always building up to this date and then live operating the game. Like, I'm very, very excited to see, like, like, what kind of effort is it to add something brand new to the game while it's running? Like, synchronizing some new feature with some fun Steam calendar thing could be fun. I need to come up with a Chivos icon.
Oh yeah, so you do. That's right here. That's in the mix.
Yeah.
That's
Big
probably
deal.
Yeah, that is almost definitely going to come up tomorrow morning. And
how big are those icons? Are they 32s or are they 64s? They're 32s, right?
I have no idea.
32s in my Reebok shoes.
How big is this guy? 96 by 90. That's the wrong one though, isn't it?
I'll figure it out. Let's see. Show an Explorer.
Well, what it should be, it might
not
be what it's set to, that's why I want to look in here too.
Yeah, I think Trevor's actually, I gotta fix Trevor.
Trevor's a little squashed.
He's 31 by 31 right now. He is a little squashed.
That's an unusual.
Yeah.
That's an unusual size.
Oops, I must have cropped him wrong. All right.
No, part of the problem is that in this, we had them dynamically low.
Yeah, 32 is the right number. Things never end. How the heck did you end up 31 by 31? Oh.
Yeah, it's definitely 96 by 96 in the UI kit assets.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that the sprite has to be 96 by 96. That's where it'll get stretched to.
That's what I mean. It's definitely not supposed to be 96 by 96 in the actual file. There's too much fidelity that way.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So all right, let's look a little closer at what else is coming up next. So, you've been plugging away at the Chivo spreadsheet, putting things in and adding recipes that can be unlocked and stuff like, for example, the magnet is going to be a recipe you unlock, right?
Correct.
So step one is I'll be loading that data into the classes, into the systems that run the game, that
Mhm.
that other systems, it's joining the quorum of bits of code that all talk to each other and invoke each other's functions and everything. And so that's what these 2 bits are about. These are just sort of behind the scenes scaffolding. And then we'll have some UI work on the Realtor screen, because right now there's just a big blank space. But what's really supposed to be there are little hills for each achievement that you are currently going to get when you choose to move on. Have we talked about what those actually look like? We have talked about the Chivo screen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've really talked about how it looks on
The Realtor?
Yeah, like okay. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
They
Award,
look
award,
like
award.
this.
It's like brilliantly designed.
I don't know that that's enough info for me to make it look right. Is it? Because it's not like each achievement has its own icon, right?
Correct.
On some level, we could crib this thing,
I don't want
so
to
it
crib the whole thing.
has an icon, and then like what you needed to get it.
That I think is not only like what that Realtor screen is like your contract for quitting. I don't want it to become like informational sort. I don't want someone to start making the bad habit of like calling the Realtor up to see how close they are to being done with this particular achievement.
Right.
So I think we're just going to show an icon, and maybe, I don't know, maybe we do need an icon for a separate icon for each actual, you know what, we should have a separate icon for each actual achievement, not necessarily the rewards.
Oh, that's a lot of sprite work. What if it's an icon per award in the achievement name?
So yeah, it's not bad. It's not a bad start, but like per achievement is not a crazy ton of icons.
Joe says Chivo tracking could be bumper stickers on the van.
That's interesting.
It is.
It is interesting. Type that somewhere.
Just gonna sort of sketch something in here.
My first thought was like, yeah, but when there's a lot of them, they're going to be all covering each other. And then I was like, yeah,
That's
when
what
there's a
they're
lot
supposed
of
to
them,
look
they're going to be covering each other.
Yeah.
Noted. Saved for posterity. I think especially if we like load that at the start of you firing up the game, then like they're already on your van while it's driving across the screen in the loading menu. That's pretty cool. That feels good.
Yeah. Yeah, and we can't do that if we don't have icons for each achievement.
It's not too bad. Well, so here's the thing. We already need icons for every achievement that is attached to a Chivo. So that could just purely
That's
be
true.
It could just be a style difference. In fact, the Steam achievement version could literally just be a dupe. Like I could just do the work once.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Like the Steam one just is grayed out when you don't have it yet, but Yeah, we already have to make these icons.
I think you're. I mean, I worry that we're going to get into a spot where we're like, oh my god, how do we come up with an icon that represents Maury with the pizza in
With the
that,
candlestick
you know? Yeah,
in the kitchen. Yeah. So the achievements aren't going to be the achievements. A can riff off of art that we already have. Like the achievements in the demo are like, all right, it's the pizza. Um, there's no reason why Tim's Trust can't be the magnet because like
yeah. For a
thematically,
lot of them, it's going to be. It's going to. The job is going to do itself.
yeah. And so if I look thematically at stuff that we've got, pop this open here.
I'm still gonna. We're gonna have the same argument again about max text length.
I think that we shouldn't put the text in. I think you should be able to mouse over the thing and get more information. So Tim's Trust easily is a magnet. Burlap sacks could be a flour bag, whichever one looks the coolest. Arborist is just a tree. Cream is the cash money symbol. Tuesday's a taco. Balboa is probably a statue of some sort. A millie could be the mill wheel. Sausage party is just sausage. Radioact, we have a radio. That's gold, Jerry. Easy. Riddle of Steel. Going down to the difficult ones, like, yeah, I'll put a little, like, extra sauce on It's a Secret and Big Pharma and Bill I Am.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not too worried about it.
Okay. Sounds good. So, what are the dimensions of these Chivo icons? Are they like bumper sticker shaped? Or are they kind of square pills like we? The Steam, I think the
Steam ones are all square.
Steam ones will have to be square.
Yeah. That doesn't mean that what's in here isn't the Steam icon with like, I don't know, like zoomed in some way, so it looks like a bumper sticker. I think you should just make them square there for now. If I come up with something savvy,
Change the dimensions.
brain was pondering the play loops, moving to a different yard, realtor and Chivos, how the metagame actually maps quite well with the roguelite. Yeah. If I have to learn game design, how do I do it? The marketing guy in me says you just you watch us stream and talk about it. There are several things though. Earlier on in this stream, you know, Will was pointing at a video from the GDC Vault. That thing is chock full of very big, important people that have worked in design for very long periods of time on things that you have played. Just sharing knowledge on how to do it. I do think a lot of the run-of-the-mill intro to game design books are pretty good. Actually, I couldn't think of it because this one just came out. I've been I've been around for a long time. Video game design for dummies. It's actually written by a I don't want to say friend of mine, but it's someone that I just know from like LinkedIn. And it is a pretty solid like walkthrough. It's not a bad book to get you started. I actually thought it was really good. It's one of the better for dummies books, and I'm a huge fan of them that I've grabbed. I think once you have a decent, yeah, video game design for dummies. I haven't set up the slash Discord thing, but I have a little texty thing over here.
I think one of the things I want to say about learning design is like design is much more durable and timeless than technical stuff because
Yes.
design is about people and people haven't really changed in like thousands of years. So if you're looking at GDC Vault and being like, man, this is a design talk from, 20 years ago, it still might be useful.
Yeah.
If it's an engineering talk from 20 years ago, it might not be useful. Because yeah, people are the focus to me. Like it's how do people behave?
G as in gorilla. G Game Developers Conference, GDC.
Yeah, let's see if we can. Um,
And so once you have your sort of like sea legs under you in terms of like terminology and general stuff, then you want to make something. Um, and that can just be on paper. You could make a card game, a board game, whatever, just with like pen and paper, whatever. I think like digitally, you probably want to think about the local area you live in and whether or not there are any groups that do game jams, which are fixed um, fixed period of time. You know, hey, here's a theme. You know, 4 or 5 people or 2 or 3 people just make a very quick light game based on the theme. I think there's a bunch of tools out there that you can get your hands on. Right now, we're using Unity, which is like a development platform, which is fairly. I mean, that's Unity right up there. Fairly user friendly, at least beginner friendly. It's somewhat user hostile in some other ways, but you get through it.
yeah,
And just start like learning the tools. Go onto YouTube and just about every problem you want to solve, someone has done it some way somehow. It may not be exactly how you want to do it. You may need to like do a lot of adaptation to it. Um,
yeah.
but
On the topic of engines, like I've had to use a variety of different systems for building games over the years. It used to be the kind of thing where it was a really steep learning curve because every project had a different engine, and eventually you like learn some transferable skills. I think it's much easier today because it's really just Unity, Unreal, and I want to plug Godot. If you are learning on an open source project might be the best way to start. um, Unity and Godot are really similar. Unreal is wild, but someday if you want to really be a professional AAA, like work on console games, you should learn Unreal.
turn my AC up. It's getting warm.
But like for getting started, I think Unity is fantastic. You couldn't do worse. Some of the other stuff I've used is Game Maker by Mark Overmars. I don't even know what that software looks like today. It's probably much different, but even just starting with something simple. I know people who put a bunch of hours into RPG Maker, which is a much simpler, very focused way to build a game. My first game engine was actually ZQuest, which was just a make your own Zelda level game engine.
ZQuest? Like the sound
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah, it's really basic looking. Here, I'm going to stop sharing while I Google again. I'm curious if you can even find it.
Joe mentions, and this is really good.
Yeah.
He says, "I'll also suggest play lots of stuff, especially things that Metacritic in the '60s or '70s. Those games had enough going for them that they weren't terrible, but somehow miss. Yep, helps you figure out what's important and impactful to the experience."
Yeah, there's just so much to consume out there. Yeah, this was ZQuest. These are the kind of games you can make with ZQuest.
I love it.
Yeah, this is what I was cutting class for. All right. Anyways, so we're talking about this pill. So okay, is this good enough ish? We'll just row out the Chivo icons.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Next, Chivo overview UI that depends on the Chivo controller. Yeah, this is scaffolding work. The back button online.
Try to crush them into my models.
This is the static Chivo icon task. So we'll need icons for each Chivo and just a generic Chivo icon. We'll use that for the Chivo app as well as to kind of ground you on the Chivo screen. The overview entries. Okay, now this whole arc is like working on the overview entries. Those are over here and designed enough. Is there anything about this that that we want to change before I get started on it? Like,
I think that anything we're going to want to add to that, we should wait till we got mouse over going.
okay, we talked about mouse over at one point along the way, didn't we?
We did.
Did that end up anywhere?
It ended up.
It got maybe'd down here.
It got. If you look at also, there's a early access roadmap. Scroll down.
This
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Okay. It says this is the for prio section. Do we want to take a stab at prioritizing tooltips again?
I don't think it happens. I don't think it blocks us from early access. I'd rather do it afterwards.
Okay. Cool.
I'd rather hear
I'm not
exactly what.
gonna fight super hard to give myself more work because we've got plenty.
It's not the work argument. It's that I want to hear what people have to say. In the absence of having this wonderful crutch called
I feel like we're going to want it no matter what, so I might as well just. That's me. Like we're just gonna want it, and it's just work. So I don't want to do it yet because we have other work that's more important.
Yeah, I think that works.
Unlocking achievement may unlock a new recipe. Lock recipes have padlock icon on the station, but I can't be used. Okay, once we get into here, we're in the. Oh, sorry, I lost my place. Chivo overview entries. Yep, then sorting them. I don't think anything changes about sorting them. Now this is the details pop-ups, which are all these things. I feel reasonably good about these. We spent the time to do these mock-ups, which means we thought about them enough.
I think, yeah. I mean, all of these are, intentional but first pass. Like,
yep,
get through them, see how they play.
We already pulled this one as we were working that out. So, and this, I mean, this is 10-ish hours of work if I'm lucky. 16 hours. So we're probably at the end of what I'm going to get through this week. Yeah, and now once we get down to these tasks, we're in more like functional things like warning you when you are setting yourself back on achievement progress and actually unlocking the things that the achievements afford you, which means I need to be able to tell that you've gotten an achievement. Oh, I think there's nothing in here for actually tracking unlocked achievements. That's an oversight. Let's add that in.
And we do have to. That has to be. I don't want to say robust, but we're eventually going to have a Steam achievement for every Chivo, and so like separation of church and state is good. Easily being able to go into one sort of system and say, hey, God forbid we have a bug, whatever, and someone's not getting a Steam achievement when they have a Chivo, like some way of like, hey, when the game loads up, like, yeah, walk through the list, make sure you've been granted all the achievements you should have, all that fun stuff.
Fortunately, I think that we already have everything we need to functionally do this. It's just calling a couple, couple methods on the existing meta progress controller.
Dope.
There might be some stuff I'll have to work out between like our own internal storage and our own internal notion of what achievements you have and resolving that against Steam. Like, are there situations where those become out of sync? Like I delete all of my game files.
I don't think we have an obligation to restore anyone's Chivos based off of their achievement list.
You don't want something that would check to see what Steam thinks you have and then correct it locally?
Steam only should care about what achievements I've told Steam you've accomplished.
So should it go the other way then, where if I don't have an achievement and Steam thinks I have it, should I remove the achievement from you?
No, but what I'm saying is that Steam achievements should never talk back to Chivos and be like, "Oh, I think you should have this one."
So what if I have an achievement locally and Steam does not think I have it? Should I correct Steam in that case?
If you have an achievement, I don't. You can't have an achievement locally.
I mean, these are files on a person's computer that they can manipulate. Like probably.
Are you using achievement for Chivo and Steam achievement at the same time?
Sorry. Yeah, I guess I am. Sorry. So let me rephrase. If I have a Chivo locally,
Yep.
and I do not have the corresponding Steam achievement,
Then you should get the Steam achievement.
Okay.
If you have a Steam achievement and you do not have the Chivo associated with it, we do nothing. I'm making your Chivo's icon right now.
Yeah.
Real time.
This is probably not that hard, but I don't want to do it wrong. I'm budgeting in time for unit testing.
I like units and testing.
Yeah. I like them. I need to spend more time writing them, which is probably not an uncommon position. Recipes make me laugh. Yeah, so this arc a little aggressive. We're probably only getting through a lot of the UI this week.
Dope.
Yeah, so hopefully by the next stream we have a bunch of Chivo UIs that we can review. We can see how the realtor surfaces what you're getting, the Chivo app itself, and then we can tap on some Chivos to see the detailed pop-up with all of their rewards and requirements.
I presume we do not get the Chivo doing anything. It's a matter of like, we're checking validation. We're auditing.
That's right.
We're auditing.
Chivo does nothing at this point.
Well, but my point is like, it's from Grok. It's simple. Just log into an achievement server and do bang ACHO. True story. Grok the hacker. Good to see you, by the way.
Badger asks, are Chivos based on a single game? Did you already answer this one? Chivos based on a single game or accessible in new game? Chivos are they span games.
If you hit new game, we're probably gonna need profiles at some point.
Yeah, no. Chivo, yeah.
Right now, new game right now today erases everything, and in this case, it should probably erase your Chivo progress. Now the thing is, there's really no reason to start a new game in this unless you want a bunch of stuff to restart. But I think at the end of the day, we're going to have when you hit new game, you pick a slot 1, 2, or 3, because that is like the time-honored solution of, I wish I could start over. I don't want to lose my old stuff.
Sure. My brother wants to play it, but I don't want him to delete my game. I've asked this before, and it's probably a good time to bring it up again. Is it time to move new game out of the main menu and into a more out of the way spot? Because it's not really the intended flow anymore for you to hit new game. The intended flow is for you to go to the realtor and get a new yard.
Yeah, like part of me is like we should just wait until we have save slots, and then the other part of me is like, yeah, but it really doesn't look right there.
When do we get save slots? Like that's it's not even on.
It's not even on there. Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be off the main menu. It could just be like right here. Actually, why don't I pull it up and we'll talk about it. Main menu.
I mean, it could be new game down the middle, and then after that, that gets replaced with continue.
Yeah, I think it should just be. Oh, that's right. There is that behavior where the new game.
I mean, in the short term future, including early access, things are going to get horked, and someone is going to need to reset their progress.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking though is just instead of continue, new game, and quit all being the same, size and importance relative to each other, I change a little bit so that there's only one button for, right now I can't hit continue. I have to hit new game, but really this button should just say like play and start me off. And when I resume the game, I just hit that button again to get going, and I can quit. And then the reset all my progress button is like in the bottom right corner, and it looks like a trash can, right?
Yep.
Now it doesn't look like I'm supposed to hit that button unless I want trash. I want to trash it.
I think as hey, thank you. Jander16 says, nice game screen. I'm pretty proud of it. Actually, what gets pooped out of the back of the van right now is like extremely important in that it identifies the build. That like people have updated properly and stuff like that. I don't want to go crazy on effort on this, but I think you make a very good point that like the obliterate my progress thing needs to get sort of scooched off to the side. Those olives look like grenades. Yeah, goat milk. Yeah, we should do that. We should do that.
Right.
We both drive around and do multiple different things at the same time.
Build characters like move the new game. No, move the function to reset game to bottom corner. Make buttons smaller. Put trash can icon on it, and this has to happen with combine new continue game buttons. Yeah. Am I going to know what that sentence means 2 weeks from now?
Maybe.
You'd think that when it's like just you and one other person working on a game that like there isn't as much of a burden to communicate clearly, but it's
there's a little bit of my true. Brother's keeper that goes on though. Be like, you remember that thing? It's like being married a little bit. Like I go downstairs and tell my wife something that is not her responsibility, just so that I know I told someone else. That later I might be able to come back and say like, you know, remember that thing I was talking about?
Remember that thing you said?
The Chivo icon is in.
Yeah.
It's hot.
Cool. I will pull the Chivo icon. All right, and then I'll try to fix the sentence so I remember what it means.
It looks like that.
When I start a new game.
Oh, look at that reflection.
When I start the game fresh, the top button is enabled. Just says play. parenthesis combined with will continue. Sure. All right. What's the new? It's the Chivo icon. Okay.
Yeah. The icon's called Chivos. Actually, I should rename it just Chivo. Chivo. Oop. There it is.
It's too late. I've already hard coded it. Oh, it's not an IT, is it? It's just a.
Chivo. All right.
Yeah. What was the inspiration for the icon? This looks like a very specific style.
The the inspiration for it was making sure that it was icon like, um, in the way the Hard at Work store one is, because it's more of an app than a person.
Mm-hmm.
So like, Bill eventually needed to get replaced. He was just cash money.
Oops.
It's a little bit key-like, but not crazy. It's a little bit screw-like, but not crazy, but not. When you say inspiration, it was I had Ace Bright up. We were talking about it, so I just wrote the word Chivo.
Where is the
Heavy Contra vibes. There you go. See, Joe's my art director who explains my work. My translator. Yeah, that big C. That does highlight though, like with just a couple people, how much you could just kind of like do something now. Like I have access to my arms. The camera's sort of in the right place. Like I just on the Cintiq, because I don't crush anything on this table. It's like I just bring the thing down, check the icon in, keep it moving. Bon appetit.
Oop, that is not the right.
Looks kind of dope smushed out though.
Why is it
So sweet looking.
so stretched? I don't understand. Oh, this is why. All right, getting there. Does it need rounded corners like the other ones? Is that what?
Does.
Also, this alignment is pretty rough. Nope, that's not the one. Nope, that's not the one.
Alignment roulette.
Nope, that's not the one. This is the worst.
I have spent. Is it not padded?
Oh yeah, I haven't put any padding in. You know what I think it's probably because it's not an actual.
It doesn't have a name label either, which is what's pushing more. Yeah.
I think what I need to do is something more like this, where I add the app icon snippet in. Character entry visual tree, I mean. There we go. You go in there.
Hey, it's already rounded. Look at that.
And now don't, well, can I change this now? I don't think I can. Is there a way to just like unpack this? Oh, hey, look, unpack instance. What's that gonna do?
It's unpacked.
I wasn't expecting that to be even the right way.
What? Yeah, that was some fine sorcery. I
Hey,
expected neither that to work nor be called the right thing. No S. It's a brand. I'm gonna spin up a separate company called Chivo.
okay, deal.
Chivo.com. Not taken yet. It's parked free, courtesy of GoDaddy.
All right, we've got it. We've got the Chivo icon.
Oh, Chivo.com is taken, but we might be able to get it for you. Oh, broker fee? Nah. Chivos.com we could buy for $1,995.
That's a considerable portion of our current funds.
No, I definitely don't think so today. But we should start buying internet real estate. That should be
Okay.
where we should spend our success money on.
Okay.
How's that for a business plan? I would if we can
Solid.
find ones that are like super cheap, like in the same way back in the day, like they'd say a phone number in a movie and it'd be like 555 blah 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 or 1-900 blah 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 blah, and then they'd actually get the number and put something on it. In some small cases, I think it would be pretty funny every once in a while to be like, all right, for this game, we're actually going to get this weird website over here, stand something up.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I know people that just are squatting on hilarious sounding domains because,
I don't
like you
want to.
said, it's like real estate. Like,
It's true, but like I would definitely not drop 2 grand on Chivos.com, but like I think it would be pretty funny if uh, we're like, all right, we want to aggregate all the Chivos with a bunch of extra data for the game, so then we get whatever's the cheapest one. Chivos.shop, Chivos.us, something silly like that, and then like do a quick aggregation thing with a couple bonus bits, just as like a little bit of side marketing. Like, what if the Chivos app was real?
that would be great. Just dipping into mobile development to make joke apps to support our Steam games.
Is .info a legit suffix? Chivos.blog. What would be even funnier is if we made iPhone apps for each one of these things. Just like there's just one called Chivo. Does a couple little things. Not a legit companion app. Per Joe, I'm actually gonna move the mic out because I'm gonna be staring at the screen a lot. Biggest thing about getting into game dev and game design: don't get hung up on making the perfect game in your head. Focus on learning in the journey. That's 100% true. Make a cube, make it move with WASD, make it change colors when you click it. Find a way to just keep swimming. It is a huge part um, of
Every little thing you do becomes another little tool in your toolbox for the future.
yeah, and
It's
all
all
of this stuff actually scales up a lot. Like I'm an advisor to a small game dev shop that's in Brazil. A bunch of buddies that I used to work with, and a lot of what they work through is just how to how to most effectively take the next step with the project, like prioritizing things. And I run into this at every single job I've had of like what should you do next or how should you do the next thing. And I've talked to like tons of of designers that I've managed where like they're taking forever to put their first pass of some data in. And I'm like, what is the likelihood? And have you ever gotten balance numbers right the very first time you put them in? And the answer is always, it's never happened, and I don't expect it will ever happen. Like if you're a systems designer, you spend your life in spreadsheets tweaking numbers. It's like, then the first set of numbers you put in shouldn't be your attempt at getting the numbers right. They should be the best set of numbers that can tell you the most about like what the numbers could or should be. Like they should be provocative more than you trying to, with darts, hit it immediately. And the same is true of a lot of just general game design moments when you're figuring out what's fun about a game, is that like some people really get hung up on like, well, if I just tweak this by like 3%, the whole game will feel good again. It's like, yeah, but you haven't even built out all the systems. So like that 3% change is going to be meaningless at some point very, very soon.
Yeah,
Like,
that's like a wisdom thing, right? Like knowing what's big and what's small is hard when you're first getting started, right?
wasn't for me. A lot of other things were very, very hard for some reason. And I think maybe that came from restaurant work, from a lot of blue collar work, was that like you freak out as much as you want, but if there's a ticket up there that says like you need like a side of rice, there better be rice somewhere. You better be able to find it, and it better be able to go on the dish. Like whether or
Yeah.
not it's a party of 12 people and all these other things matter. Like you have to put something on a dish that got ordered and figure that part out. Perfection paralysis is a thing that exists. It's true. Absolutely true. And that doesn't mean that nothing matters. It's not nihilism. Um, you just have to realize that every larger thing you do is made up a bunch of smaller things. And that sounds nice on paper, but it is more important. It is far more important that Will and I can have a discussion about the PD controller and fish going up and down on the screen right now while it's still malleable and we can talk through some stuff. It's far more important to have that than him just saying, I got fish to work. And there's
And
fish swimming around.
there's a thing in there that I didn't understand at first, but I understand better now as someone who's been on the hook to implement some of this stuff and to write a bunch of code that will have to continue working throughout the life of the game, is that it gets harder to make changes the longer your code grows. Like the more code there is, the more ways there are for you to make it work weird, the more opportunities there are for bugs to crop up in it. Changes get more expensive to make as a project goes on.
Yeah, and you know, right now we're like there's a funnel in terms of like how plastic, how liquid the game is. And right now we're like eyeballing early access, which is by no means at all the end of the road, but the game is much more solidified than it was, you know, when I was like leading up to doing a demo, and much more so than like any step before that. The point is, unless we decide to overhaul the thing, we know that players are going to do different levels and they're going to carry stuff in their van, and like we're committed to that stuff. And so those things, as we go through them, we're looking for ways to harden them, make them more real and do a lot of the finishing touches that you want to do. But there was a point where, like for the demo, if you had two versions of the same set of shelves, they shared the same internals. So I just removed the ability to have more than one set of shelves, which meant there was only going to be one level, only one way to get the shelves. Couldn't craft them. They were just, it was just a yard piece that you could unlock with deeds. But after the demo, me and Will talk, we're going to have a pile of locations you go to, and two sets of shelves are possible. Then you go back and you write in the code that makes it bulletproof once you're committed to it. I love that statement when you don't flip the checkboxes.
I was checking if it was still there.
Yeah. Joe.
Why is it so tall? Look at that. That is bizarro. I'm going to take a note. It's a really tall pop-up for how much text is in there.
I probably screwed it up. I probably screwed it up. I probably made it not absolutely made out of Laffy Taffy. Per Joe, and your point about getting some numbers in come from the starting point that you're going to be wrong. Yeah, exactly. You've never been right the first time. So the sooner you're wrong, the sooner you can be right. 100%. Like it allows you to triple tap. If you're like, I think this guy should have 100 hit points. All right. Like if you think that's the perfect number, that's fine. But if it takes you a week to put that in there because you had to sit there and stew over a bunch of stuff, it's like you could have put your first guess of 50 in on Monday, played it Monday afternoon, and been like, wow, 50 feels pretty good. Maybe it needs a little more. You turn it to 55 for now. Still Monday afternoon. And you don't have to wait till Friday with all this like grandiose stuff that you put on display for how you figured out 100 was the right number. Because you get to actually play it. Yeah,
For
human.
most of us mortals, it's like you're not going to be right the first time, but what matters is the process that you use to get from wrong to right.
So many companies say fail fast and then don't do it. Like they still covet the like, all right, I spent all week. Let me check this whole thing in. And you're like, all right. But the other thing is that the game moves forward outside of that task. And I think that may be one of the other more fundamental parts of it is that in that week that you take stewing over this grand argument for why something should be some way, a couple other things are going to change. You'll be like, well, my numbers were right before that happened. It's like, well, yeah, but you decided to take a week or two to muse. Game moved forward. Oh, look at that. Look at that Chivo icon.
Yeah, yeah. We just
Developed and
got it in there.
inserted live.
I'm realizing now that I went to the wrong yard for what I wanted to do today.
Yeah, you ain't got no place to fish, homie. Pack it up.
Pack it up. We're done here.
I forgot to take a stand mixer with me. My playthrough that I was doing for screenshots. I was like, oh man, oh boy. You're still gonna have blingos where you're going. You'll be all right. You take one blingo with you.
Yeah, I was about to say that's probably better than this small change. Oh, almost pressed the wrong button. Almost sold everything I love.
Wee. There are definitely still people making balance mods for the original StarCraft. And
I saw people talking just recently about how much they love competitive original StarCraft, except the N64 version for some reason. Probably because you can't patch it.
Yeah, and probably because you're playing with a controller. That's got to be brutal. That action economy's got to be brutal on it. And there is a flip side. You can't hang like the important thing is that people are modding it. Like it is released. You can put a date on it for when it's done. Like you got to ship something, but then games have a life for decades. Some crazy person. I'm not calling out Germany with like just for laughs, but there's probably going to be one crazy person in Germany that's still modding cruft 20 years from now. It's a solid market for this kind of game. That comes from experience. That's not just like broadly, and it's certainly not anti-German.
All right, here I am, up in a yard. I want to go fishing today.
Oh, I think I accidentally checked. Did I fix it? I don't know if I fixed it. Oh, I may have checked something that would absolutely balloon your number of deeds.
Ooh, okay. I like that.
Nope, I didn't. I didn't. I was smart. I fixed it before I checked it in. For screenshot purposes, I was giving myself 100 deeds at level 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would be good.
I mean, you could duck out, rebuild it, and just hit continue if you desperately wanted to. Or you could play it the old-fashioned way.
if I wanted to have an inordinate amount of deeds, I could do that.
Yeah.
But I want to play the build
Yeah.
as it is.
For realsies.
Yeah.
What are you trying to do, Will?
Fish,
Ah.
which requires me to earn 10 deeds. Right. I need the. Need
De- it
the rod.
depends. You could also fish in the stream.
But then I won't have a rod.
But someone sells them now. I am a generous god.
Cool. Who sells? It's going to be like somebody I haven't unlocked because I haven't built the system to unlock it, isn't it?
It's going to be someone who makes sense thematically with all the other animal stuff.
Oh, it's you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cool. Do I want to just fish in the stream then? Because that's 2 deeds cheaper.
The stream, actually, what does the stream give you?
Gives me the gold pan
so it
in
gives
the stream.
you, yeah. So it gives you a little bit more options than maybe what the pawn does. You could be panning at the same time.
So, in a way, the rod is worth 2 deeds, but I can just buy a rod.
What you get for unlocking a plot is not a one-to-one translation of the value of the thing in deeds, because the lake has different things to fish for in it. And the same is true as the total number of tiles. Obviously, things with bigger numbers of tiles on it, I tend to make more expensive than empty plots with fewer tiles, but there is more to this madness than I'm buying a fishing rod. All right, so
It's hard for me to think of starting the game any way other than animal feed. Oh, you know what it is?
I don't.
I don't interact with the timber industry.
Correct.
Next time I'll have to do something like that.
Per auditor, people still talk about Zork. Yeah, from '77. Tabletop D&D continues to evolve and devolve.
Default.
Yeah. How old is Go? And it's important though, like for what we're talking about here, like I leave Go out of that statement because it's in its original form. It wasn't really commercialized the way we know things. Nor is Zork. I do agree, like at the philosophical level. But I do find with like video game developers, they like will put off having people play the game as long as possible or any update to it, like unless you slap their hands. Not, I don't mean everyone, but it's kind of endemic. Like a lot of people are in my opinion pretty gun shy about releasing something. Now, I think plenty of games have to have an amazing level of polish before you can show them, but for a lot of things, you just releasing a finalized Assassin's Creed is not what every game experience is.
I don't want to go on like an imposter syndrome diatribe, but I think one of the enemies of sharing early, sharing often is that I think it's something that like is absolutely detrimental to your project to hoard it, and some of it's just not being confident in your work. Like,
yeah, and even in the case of something like a big, Assassin's Creed game, you have to keep in mind that like in terms of internal feedback, like thousands of people can play that game internally, which is way more than like me and Will get, before we release something. So they're still getting it. Yeah, you don't want to get chewed out for your No Man's Sky, but No Man's Sky would have been fine if they hadn't promised everything about it. Like the other side of the coin is absolute candor about like
Yeah,
what the game is. Like us showing
yeah.
it while we're making it, like there is no like, well, like we're working on achievements right now. Yeah, Fable was notorious. Um, like you see the guts. I mean, you see code, you see like what we're talking about. I think that part is is just as important as being super frank. Is that like
We have a rule about what we're going to talk, like what we're comfortable talking about publicly as well, right? Like if it's something we're imminently working on, we're really certain that it's something we're going to put together.
yep.
So it's safe to talk about it. But if it's something that we're like, oh, I don't know, maybe, then it's not going to help us to go blabbing about it, right?
Yeah, and we obviously have like lofty ideals of where this game could go, but like that is all just pie in the sky till you get to it. Because once again, like things just change, and I think for me, what really taught me that um, was working on an MMO where like you can plan about a year out for your next, expansion. We were on a pretty yearly ish cadence. Everything after that is just kind of like maybe, and it's nice to think about, but in terms of practical stuff you can work on, there's no real point in publicizing neat ideas because half the team may be different at that point. Like that's how much stuff changes. And so, No Man's Sky, I think is a great game. I thought it was a great game when they released it. Yeah, any Theorycraft to do is very much labeled so. Yeah. And I think Theorycraft is fantastic. Um, but I think No Man's Sky would have done just fine if they had very accurately described what it was going to be at launch. I mean, it was still very interesting, exploratory, like infinite-ish worlds kind of stuff. It did find its spot, and so I guess that's what I'm getting is that like
It wasn't fatal.
it wasn't fatal. There's just no reason not to be like completely frank with it. And we are going into early access with a game that does very much in the spirit of early access. We'll absolutely have a bunch of play hours of engaging stuff to do, and it's definitely not going to be done.
Early access is also the kind of thing that benefits from being absolutely real, but also absolutely candid about like what we're working on.
Yeah, I frankly I think what No Man's Sky ran into is that they should have just done and marketed early access, like in the right language. Um, but they were a huge Kickstarter, right? If I remember correct.
Were they? Crazy.
Were they? I don't remember. Time
I
to do
don't
some.
remember.
Time to go to the tape. Let's see. No Man's Sky. Was it a Kickstarter? I'm pretty sure it was like crowdfunded. Didn't have a Kickstarter. All right.
Graphics certainly matter to some people. I think, like, talking to Joe's comment about not everyone can see past the graphics and gray box something and have a great feeling gameplay. Yeah,
I also don't think though that like gray boxing is necessarily like a must do for indie development though. You know, our game looks like this based on the components of our team, but if either Will or I was like a 20 years in artist, would have made a different game and would
yep.
be very art driven. And I see some indie games out there that look 50 times better than anything I could ever come up with when they're just getting started, and I would be like 2 years into live ops. But I do agree that like um there's there's a reason why cruft isn't about aesthetics and why it's very much like on a grid and like painfully so intentionally. um it's at a point where um anything that like genuinely looked good would look out of place in the game. um you know, where I'm going with this is that I think as an indie you have to be very cognizant of what you can and can't do, what you're willing to do and not so much, um and market the game as such. Like there's a this game is a sort of call out to people that like to organize things in rows and columns, and it's in rows and columns. um I also read a very good article the other day. I can't off the top of my head remember where it was from, but like someone was flat out just like, look at Schedule One, you know, look at all
What
these
is Schedule
kids,
One?
or was it?
What is Schedule One?
It's a game on Steam. I think it's Schedule One. What's it called? Yeah, Schedule One is like a drug dealing game. Um,
Oh, okay, that's Schedule.
yeah, and it's doing amazingly well. And some of it was like made with some amount of AI, but like it's like it's low end 3D graphics. And the argument was that, you know, they're talking about an audience that grew up on Minecraft, that also grew up on crazy good looking games. And so like the palette of very indie looking to very very polished is their the entirety of their repertoire, and so both are valid, as opposed to people like say my age, who many of which grew up in the era of graphics getting like, you know, PS1 Hagrid. You go back and laugh at it. Like we grew up with the next console was crazier. Everything was crazier graphics. Like the fact that the titles of consoles were how many bits the graphics were, and that there was this constant rush towards like, okay, you know, N64. Oh my God, it's the next big thing.
Like, I mean, yeah,
Present
Nintendo
younger,
was in the mix there, but they also found a way to exit that arms race, right?
they did.
Like, there's definitely a point where it no longer matters how many pixels comprise a character's eyeball. You know,
But like, you
and
know,
I also want to say something about Minecraft when you're done.
yeah. But just as far as like a zeitgeist of what gaming was about when we grew up, it was all about it was about pixel count, it was about shaders and lighting, it was all these things like the Call of Duty race to like, oh, the intro video, like, you know, these folks have grown up with every WoW announcement trailer that has been like in their lives. And the point here is that it's a different sensibility, and you can have a breakout hit that is like Schedule One, which is like very lightweight graphically, um, and that's okay because like it still can do very very well. Like Vampire Survivors did not look good at release. It's a little bit more stylized now, but pretty primitive graphics. Did really
It's true.
well, and the argument here is that like people still do like really really epic games in terms of graphics. I like to sit down with something like I just grabbed Oblivion Remastered because I wanted to play it looking nice. But overall, it's no longer the like grimy game stigmatized great game must have good graphics. Uh, Dwarf Fortress
I was
like
gonna say Dwarf
pushes
Fortress, a
pushes
great
the,
example.
pushes that limit right now of like playing it in ASCII mode. I think is a bridge too far for a lot of people, but
For sure.
um,
Even before they like released on Steam with upgraded graphics, you you didn't play a lot. You didn't play a lot of Dwarf Fortress in ASCII mode. You went and got one of the texture packs and figured out how to paste it into the right folder to make it look a little better. Dwarf Fortress and Minecraft kind of have a similar thing too, though, where in a way those games have an art style. They have a consistent, appealing look. It's just that beauty is in the eye of the beholder sometimes. People say like, "Oh, Minecraft looks like crap," but like I actually think Minecraft was really internally consistent as a 3D pixely looking game. Like that actually supports the design that everything is a block really well.
the actual art style of Minecraft, vanilla Minecraft back in the day, was very, very solid.
Yeah,
Pong's
yeah.
rectangle was a tennis
Another
racket.
example of exiting the like ridiculous graphic fidelity arms race of like, no, you can have a great game that doesn't look uh, uncannily real.
Indeed. Uh, Auditor brings up that Pong's white rectangle was a tennis racket, and our brains accept that. I mean, all the games I bought when I was little uh, for a computer, they all had hand painted art on the front and on the sides of the box, and on the back had this amazingly not really looks like the hand painted art
Yeah, yeah.
screenshots. And
You know
you
that
just did the
those
math.
illustrations, like on the front of NES games, for example, like those kind of bootstrapped you into what all of those little jumbled pixels were supposed to be. Like, oh, that's a Green Beret soldier
Yeah,
in Contra, right? Like that's, and you got that because you saw the box first. Like that's, I think that's actually brilliant.
it is pretty good. You were gonna say something about
Oh,
Minecraft, and then you hit it.
I ended up interrupting it into the flow there.
Sweet.
I'm good.
Like making a beautifully gorgeous game still can be tremendously simple. Like if you grabbed someone who is like 20 years art director level, um, like even the game's old now, but like I think it was World of Goo.
Yes, there's a remake coming out soon, isn't it?
Two's already out. World of Goo, Little Inferno, like games old. World of Goo, 2008.
Yeah.
There's two guys. One of them, very solid artist, and very solid technical artist. And so you get a game about very cute little, but easy to draw, manipulatable, gooey um, folk. Yeah, April 25th, World of Goo 2 came out. It's out.
Snap.
Add to cart. View my cart. Make sure I'm not sharing stuff from my cart. Oh no, I don't want to buy it on this account though.
I almost bought stuff on my work account as well.
Yep. Oops. That would be so funny. Nope. A Sprite, sure. Purchase. How do I pump this thing? Let's go back to this. Yeah, don't want to do that. Ye old company card.
Quest denied.
Yeah, request it. The thing is, it won't.
No, I deny it.
I do like a lot of the Activision box art for Atari games. Heck yeah. $10 XCOM deal on Humble Bundle. XCOM is amazing. Now, here's what's interesting to me, though. Is XCOM is a very, very good example of taking very old gameplay and then putting it into proper 3D with some twists, and it's beautiful now. I love how XCOM looks, and even like up to date current XCOM is old, but it's like it took that, twisted it around, did a great job with it. You caught a fish yet?
I need to buy a fishing rod.
Did you lose your rod? Oh no, it doesn't. You don't get one with
I
it.
never bought it.
Yeah.
I looked at it in your shop and then
You should have
actually buy it.
yeah.
Okay.
You could have panned in the
Do
meantime.
do do.
Nice.
I guess I need to buy fish to fish.
Tackle.
Oh, fishing tackle. Okay. That is not how I read that. Oh my god, it's expensive. Okay. Gotta start selling my precious avocados.
Oh, the other thing I did on my playthrough to get some screenshots. I was like, oh, I'll move over. Didn't take my stand mixer, didn't take my magnet.
Yeah, I was talking to someone testing the game without a magnet, and they were like, "This."
F this game.
They're just like, it really reinforces the importance of the magnet. To not
It's
have
true.
one.
Like doing it without the magnet makes the magnet really feel important. It's still a bit too important. It may get a third checkbox.
Oh,
Like I
well,
acknowledge.
once you have the recipe, is it going to be a recipe that you can easily procure the ingredients for?
I don't think it. The recipe's not bad, but it's how easily you can procure depends on a couple things.
Okay, now I have fishing tackle.
I mean, it's not
Fishing.
completely.
210 is a good timer. That's a good fishing timer.
Yeah. It's 2 iron and 5 cruft.
Yeah, the iron. You're not going to be able to get iron on every level, right?
Yeah. Maybe I will buy it.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's variable right now.
Yeah.
What I think I may do is just make it painfully expensive from someone, so it's a little bit punitive. Like you can definitely go get it. You should remember to pack it. You'll have the recipe, and I sort of feel like even if the magnet is not punitively expensive, I feel like we can put like the hardware store can sell you some metal and just make it pricey.
Yeah.
Make
I
it
mean,
be one of those things where it's just
it would
like
make 100. It would totally just make sense for there to be a magnet here in big box hardware. Like
not a magic magnet.
that's where I would go for a magnet.
Yeah, it's not that kind of magnet, Will. You have to go out in the woods and unearth it like Excalibur. How much do you think it would cost?
I just accept that. I had just accepted that in this world, magnets work on the first object they touch.
It's you literally magnets
It's like
that
Pong
pick
with
up
the white square. I'm
pick
just
up
too. I'm
pigs.
in too deep.
You pick up pigs with
Yeah.
this magnet.
Look, I'm not saying that. Is cruft reality, or is cruft a magical version of reality where magnets touch pigs and then all pigs stick to it?
What I'm saying is
I
that
don't know.
it's still a very special magnet.
I agree that it's a very special magnet.
How much does love cost, Will? That's really what you're getting at. You can't just find it at the hardware store.
Picking up pigs with a magnet? Priceless.
What I think I'll probably do, especially because it'll also be low stack, is I'll probably add to the hardware store, 2 iron bars. Be like, if you want to do it, this is exactly how many iron bars you need for it. And just make them pricey.
There's something wrong with my stream. Oh, got my fishing rod back. And my lure back.
You got nothing.
But I think I didn't catch anything.
You got some cruft.
That's great. That's so cool. I'm glad I didn't catch anything. Wow, 25% chance to get a merp fish. What is a merp fish? You need to pay attention to how much XP I get when I fish.
It's not a ton of XP when you fish.
Really? Oh
XP is entirely pegged to how much cruft output there is for a recipe.
man.
Well, fishing is a relaxing exercise
Okay, I
where you
agree.
kick back. The other thing is, if you pan, like, there's a chance for like a gold nugget or like 3 gems. Like you can make money off of that thing. It's supposed to be like sort of like looming side money.
And I like how you have to choose to forego that looming side money to go fishing.
Yep. You're either putting in work panning. Every supply
Auditor
chain.
magnets are magic, as far as I'm concerned.
It's true. Every supply chain game, like our buddy Trevor, routinely like sets up the thing where like you just dump stuff in a box, goes down a bunch of conveyors, gets with a bunch of splitters in it, and then like way over somewhere else is where you actually, whenever you want to pick something up, there's like a box labeled with each type of thing. I'm so terrible at setting that stuff up. Like Satisfactory, I have a lot of fun playing that game, but I do not set up one of those like very uniform looking, like my shit looks like Rube Goldberg machine, does not look like computer chipset of manufacturing. I get a little of that in there, but I've always got places I got to run in and like dump some iron into this one processor that's running in real time. There you go, buy those water deeds.
Yeah, we're going for big, uh, large amount of water. Speaking of water, I've been watering my garden from the rain barrel successfully.
That's pretty tight.
A little call back there till long ago. And I like the splitter because I can route the water just away from the barrel and down the downspout as it was originally intended to go, which means that I use up all the water instead of it sitting there
Yeah.
getting funky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I got my zucchinis and my tomatoes ready to go.
We are definitely going to have, unless something goes wrong, a bumper crop of snap peas. Or no, I think they're actually just regular peas. Looking good on tomatoes, but they're going to come in late because we started from seed.
I
Potatoes.
used to do that, but it was so much more work. It was like an untenable amount of extra work.
Yeah. The the tomatoes were planted by the toddlers, so like they are not uniformly spaced. There's going to be a lot of Thunderdome infighting. Yeah. But potatoes, if we don't end up with the weird situation where sometimes potatoes look really good above ground and then below ground there's like nothing. We don't get that weird case. If the seed potatoes are got good, we're gonna be going buck wild with potatoes.
I feel like something weird happened. I thought I had used my water voucher.
You hadn't. You would
I
use.
hadn't. Okay, all right.
It's funny, and I
Not
think
a bug.
some of it is that the bottom recipe has like 3 water drops on it, and it feels like a lot of water. The
I
top
must have. Yeah, I must have
clicked the
just
wrong one
clicked the wrong one. Okay, try that again.
because this one's only like 10 or 20 seconds.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was an internal bookkeeping problem. Like I clicked the button that looked like I was using the water voucher, but internally it queued up the regular well recipe because my water voucher wasn't consumed. Okay. Second
Called you out.
confirmation from Badger that I
Yeah.
clicked the wrong one. Good. Good.
This is proving out quite nicely because I did this the other day. Like I just went up to where it was being like to YouTube and like rewound a few minutes and was like, did we screw that up? Like having it on tape, pretty solid.
Pretty solid. I agree.
Why aren't you good at catching fish?
I don't know. Look, I'm not here. I'm not here to catch fish. I'm here to sit next to the lake, think about nothing for a couple minutes.
I'm tempted to make a recipe that requires you consume one alcoholic beverage and you have a better chance of catching fish. Like a hard cider or something.
Uh,
Put a beer in there, Pilsner.
uh,
Or make some output that's just like relaxation. Add a stress meter to the game, and some recipes like
oh
reduce it.
no. You're getting electricity before you get a stress meter.
Stress meter would be so easy. Stress meter is just another currency, man. It'd just be like right next to the cash money, and there'd just be
Uh,
invisible balance on it.
sure. Sure. Well, I've successfully fished.
Did you sell it already?
The fish. Oh no, sorry. I've been fishing. I haven't
Yeah.
caught a
Okay.
fish.
You have successfully put tackle into the water.
Yeah, pulled out some junk.
Got quite the avocado operation. Any reason? Are they good money?
Um, I don't remember whether they're better than some of the other stuff. Can I find one here? No. All right, come on, fish. Nope. What a racket. Um, why did I pick avocados? I think I just wanted to see if they worked. Like
Alphabetical.
I looked. No. I scrolled past like everything, and then scrolled up and finally got avocados.
Avocado's not bad. Avocado. Good call, Will. Of the fruits. It's expensive.
Well, because I did apples last time, and I did bananas. I hadn't done avocados yet. Olives is on my list, but I don't know that I can do anything with the olives. Oh, also that's just extremely expensive. I just looked at the price now.
Olives get you a base price of 9 cash money,
It's pretty good.
which, considering you can basically print olives as long as you've got some water and fertilizer, not bad. Olive oil for just a bit more time gets you 22.
Yeah, can I get a press here? Don't think I can.
Hmm. Hmm. Should have brought one with you, punk.
Right. That's one of the things that you're supposed to bring with you.
You can get a steamer here, though.
I can. Can I make rice with the steamer now?
You should be able to make rice with the steamer, yes.
Can I get rice?
Oh, it'd be funny if it wasn't in here. Huh! Huh! The missing link.
Yeah, you said it's alphabetical, right?
It should be.
Goes from
Pop open
Raz to soy.
the shop templates. Let's see.
And this fishing is brutal.
It is brutal.
One of these days, I'm gonna lose my rod before I catch a fish. That's what I think is gonna happen.
You probably are. Oh, I am a bad person. I knew we'd find something.
Oh, that the rice is not among the seeds I can buy.
Correct.
Oh, I need more poop.
Don't we all? There's a problem. Karen might sell it, though.
Oh, really?
Possible.
Not right now. Almonds, yes. Tortillas, chocolate, chicken. New offers. Nope. Same. She does have two different. Does she have two different shops in this level?
She does.
In this yard. Just got sort of.
But one of them is like I sell you stuff. The other one's I buy. I buy stuff.
Oh, okay. So
Get effed. The eternal issue with rice.
I need to start grinding.
Bane of my existence.
Awesome.
Steamer accepts rice. What is missing right now?
I did buy the steamer anyway. It's right here.
The Stanley steamer.
Oh, I got one. All right. Now
Oh, fish on!
Caught a fish. 3 cash money for that. Butte. All right. Let's try something that might be more profitable. Let's try painting for gold. I'm not even going to sell this fish. I'm just going to keep it over here.
Yeah, there's still a rice problem. Gah! So many attempts. Rice is weird. Still should work. So when you're adding aquariums, we'll sprinkle a little bit of deep sea and stuff into this at some point. And vice versa.
Yeah. I'm excited about just being able to make links like that between two games. It's cool.
It is pretty cool. All right, I'm going to be doing a little bit of.
Ooh, no luck. I do like that the stream is sort of like I'm gonna keep this cooking on the side, and maybe I'll get lucky, but most often nothing's gonna come of it.
See here. Boo-boo. Yeah. All right. I guess that makes sense. Let's. Oh yeah.
I'm just selling these avocados. Should I be looking for something to do with them?
Doubtful. They're pretty solid to just straight up sell. Four rows above. I'm just gonna fix this in real time.
You know what I can't make in cruft? A salad.
Salad's probably a good idea.
Could you just make it at the mixing bowl?
So I feel like every once in a while, I feel like we need a prep station, like something that is just an extra step in other dishes, or a singular step where like the job really is to just put something together.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe put the pass in, or just a prep station. Because there's some things where it's like, all right, like sushi, like, do I need to use a stove to like put a raw piece of fish on some delicious rice that I can't make? Still.
Yeah, I'm gonna make some sushi in the dirt over here.
Not sure that this is the smartest thing for me to do to try to fix this while I'm yapping on a stream, but do it that way anyway. Let's see. We need seed. Seed. It does exist. The seed does. That's why I thought it worked.
So there's a rice seed item, and it's just not in Sarah's shop.
No, it's more complex than that, but I was like, why was I hoodwinked into thinking that rice was good to go? And it's because there is a seed object that's just not. I mean, the seed object's definitely not in Sarah's shop there. It's a different thing of like what got pulled in for this level. But I didn't check over here in this other DB. Or they're just not talking to each other well. If I go over to shop templates, IT seed. Interesting. Okay. We have a slightly deeper problem. In that.
Tell me more. It's exciting.
Demo. Blah. Rice. Green rice. Rice mills. Bean seed. Why? Reading from the wrong place. Thought I fixed it. Maybe I didn't. I wonder if the thing that is populating the list of possibilities is reading from the wrong
Oh, you're in your own sorcery over
place.
there.
Oh yeah.
Drop down chips, right?
Yeah.
Can't help you with those. Oh, that was weird. Why did it put them there?
I'm in data validation territory. Do I just need to update this thing? Is it that easy? Who knows? All right.
Oh, I did get some gold. Crude gold. $23.
All right. I'll have to figure that out when I can actually concentrate on it.
I'm better finding gold than I am at fishing.
You are better at finding gold than you are fishing.
Is there a way that I can look in? Oh no, this is the wrong project. Is there a way that debugging would help discover what's wrong?
No.
Like actually looking into what's in the game's database rather than what you can see from spreadsheets?
No, this I think this is purely like a diligence in a large task. Like
Okay.
it seemed pretty straightforward. I think I presumed some stuff did already exist because it was pretty broadly existent in a couple tables, and right now it's not reading a certain chunk over the right way. I think I had to update some Excel foo.
Okay.
Why is your phone always about ready to die? Because it's funny.
Gems.
I need to step away for just 1 second. Those gems are worth it.
I just got
Make that money.
payday. Yeah. $178 ruse. Yeah, the phone has these like fake phone icons. I think they help make it look like a phone. I think without those, you might not think this is a phone at all. But it always evokes that question. And I think it's just Z trolling us. Just in the cruft zone now. Crafting, collecting, crafting, collecting. Done what I came here to do. Oh, you know what? I haven't, yeah, I have in fact caught a fish. You know what I haven't done though is figure out why the camera just stops when I'm holding down this button. Maybe I'll try to do that. That would be nice because that is low key super annoying. And I have a feeling that it's going to take me back into PD controller, which we were just talking about like hours ago, but today. Where is my camera code? Yeah, like all of these little bits of code are supposed to be firing.
Are you talking about the camera going good?
Yeah, I took a step back since I had accomplished my goals in here and decided to take a minute and see if I can figure out what's what there. I'm not gonna try and fix it, but I do want to try and figure out why it's broken.
Good to see you, Sectrix. We must construct additional pylons for sure. We should put pylons in the game.
Yeah, this is what happens when you wander away. I end up.
That's fine. The whole rice thing is that it's come up with me for every single grain that I've implemented is that like it's like the worm is the spice, like the seed is on paper in my head, like the grain also. So it just needed an extra object. And I didn't connect everything up the right way.
How am I going to back this?
So we talked earlier about like the PD controller and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, it could be that the PD controller is falling down, but I would guess if the PD controller is always on, then what's really falling over is it's just ignoring my input, and I'm no
Yeah.
longer changing that.
Yeah. And I'm actually I'm actually standing corrected here on PD controller. I actually think it's not PD controller. It's just a smooth step function. Oops. There we go. Yeah, just regular old math.lerp going on in there.
I thought, lerp.
The oldest trick in the book. So yeah, like I just want to know what key codes are being logged. This is going to be really spammy, but it's better than trying to use the debugger. Oh, do I not have a logger in?
There can be multiple magnets. It's no longer exclusive. We have not. I think you are running. If you are like playing alongside, there's an update to square away what is properly in the van and gets spat out every single time. Um, and so what it wasn't, it was backfilling your van with stuff that was explicitly supposed to be in there just for the tutorial before, and I don't think that update to fix that has made it into Steam yet.
Yeah, they're on a build from a couple weeks ago now, right? 1 week ago or two? Either way,
They're due for an update.
yeah. Due for an update, but we're also in the middle of Chivo stuff. Yeah, so okay. Still sees that I'm pressing A, judging by this spam, but my camera is certainly not moving. That's not it.
Jam into the techno tunes. Our greatest review so far still is the music is silly.
It's pretty, yeah. What if it's getting clamped in here in a gross way?
Yeah. Like what you really want to know is where it thinks that number is now. Also, can you run it in like scene mode and see if do you have an object that's actually being dragged around, or are you literally just like
Look, there it is. There's the PD controller. What am I doing in here? Is there just things fighting?
I think there might be some things
I,
fighting.
okay, all right. So here
Yeah.
at the very end, PD controller.target. That's how it's the setting the point that you want it to interpolate to. But what is all this doing? Oh, this is scroll. So the scroller doesn't. Scrolling could be governed by the PD controller, but our PD controller is very specifically a 2D thing right now. We could fix that, but it was easier to just do this smooth step function. Okay. All right. I wonder if we're in the middle of panning, detecting some amount of mouse scroll delta that interrupts it. Can you pan and zoom at the same time?
I would be a little shocked if that was it. Like the mouse wheel.
All right, so now we're getting spam for what the camera's position target is.
But like hold it down. So it's hard to read from here, but like hold it down in one direction without updating it.
Yeah, let me.
Like get it locked in and keep holding the button down. I don't need to actually read it.
Okay. All right, so get it locked in. Oh, now I'm not pinned to the bottom. Oh, I hate how it does this. Okay.
Is it updating while you are locked?
While I am locked right now, it is not changing.
Which are you locked on the side of the screen? Like that's different than. There we go.
Well, I was hitting left.
Oh, okay, sweet. All right, so it's not
Does
up.
this console have a way to pin it to the bottom?
It,
Because that is infuriatingly inept for a console to behave this way.
I don't think it matters.
I need to see the most recent log message. Even
Oh,
if
it's not doing that.
by.
Oh,
yeah, no,
nice.
it's.
Oh, okay. Now I understand.
I can see it because I have the advantage of being, you know, the person using the computer. But this little scroll bar is creeping upwards, meaning that there are new messages.
Okay,
showing up below me.
So is the
pin to the bottom.
Okay? Is the target location actually updating, and then the camera's just not going there?
It didn't look like it was. Yeah. Okay. Right now we're getting scroll. Time is progressing, but the target location is not changing right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep, it's pretty consistent that the target location matches what we're seeing for behavior. The target location is getting stuck somehow.
Sweet. Let's fix it in 10 minutes. Yeah.
So wherever the problem is, it's before this.
You're going off of the.
I'm not sure I'm going to fix this in 10 minutes. So there's like this clamping happening in here.
So you're going off of. What I'm seeing here, though, is that you're going off of the frustum and it's just guessing here, but like maybe something gets chunked up because we have a certain frustum size, we have a certain outer limits of the actual image back there, and somewhere in the difference between those two things, sometimes it gets kind of chunked up, and then in some other loop somewhere, it's like, oh no, that's cool, and it isn't updating here, it's updating maybe elsewhere. So like you let go, and then it's like, oh, let me check again. Because you can press W, get stuck, let go, press W again, and keep moving.
Yeah. Don't expect this to ever really change while I'm moving the camera, but maybe that's part of what would cause a problem.
That would be horrifying.
Just kind of moving my way backwards through this, which I really don't expect scrolling to mess with it, but let's still do it. Yeah, so like we recalculate cam size, which is just how much of the scene can I see right now based on my zoom. It's an orthographic camera, so zoom isn't really the right term. It's just how big is the window. So we're using that to sort of guess, like, am I at the edge? Because we don't want you to scroll off the map and just look into the void. We want to clamp it. So that's what we're trying to do here. All of this could be entirely wrong-headed. Like, I have no idea that the problem is in here. Yeah. So I'm moving around. Custom extents is not changing.
But correct me if I'm wrong. If you hold down W and get stuck,
What's that?
and, and then
Yeah, I'm stuck now with W held down.
let go and then hit it again, not some other direction. Yeah, like
Yeah, it works again.
so. It's like
So
while you are in some.
press, get stuck, let go. Press, I'm stuck now. Let go.
Do you?
Press, stuck. It's like this very consistent interval too.
It
Except for
is.
that time. That time it worked all the way across. Now it's broken.
Like I wonder if there's also just
Like,
some Windowsy thing with when you've got like you described this before. Like it's almost like how long you hold the thing down before it goes.
I know.
Um,
That's
it
what it felt
it
like.
feels like that amount of time. Like maybe you just need to clear it every time you go through that loop or something. I don't know. It feels like a mode issue. We're like, oh, you need to call it as key input this. Who
That's
cares
why I was
about
wondering if
shift?
this. I'm gonna investigate this now.
All
I'm
right.
gonna see. I'm just gonna put a breakpoint here, and if we break, that means that we are processing mouse scroll delta in the middle of
Mm-hmm.
scrolling. Maybe my mouse is just oh so faintly wheeling.
Yep. Just wobbling.
Oh look. Oh, sorry. That's an old breakpoint. I got excited for a second.
I know, me too.
Okay, no, no break, not breaking. We're not wheeling.
Wheel.
Okay, I wheeled and we broke.
You always got to make sure you actually could break it.
Yeah, no,
I've
you're
done
right.
that a million
For
times.
sure.
Put it like on a weird brace and like, whoops.
Yeah, none of this seems to be part of the problem. Let's step through though, since we're in here.
Yeah. You don't think it's your interpolators?
Uh, well, right now our interpolators are doing the thing where at t equals 0, you get 0. So there's not that much interesting happening. Yeah, so we have oh, dir equals the camera position to start.
Hmm.
That would mean
Hmm.
don't move, right?
Are we only moving when like we get some weird slip in between moment that we duck don't move? Hmm.
Yeah, maybe my previous method of sort of observing the key press state was not high enough fidelity.
Does this ever happen when you hit if you go try to go in what happens when you hit W and S and what happens when you hit W and D? Does it also get stuck?
Hmm. I sort of see what you mean. It should handle that, but let's find out. That would make sense if because all that it's doing is saying, okay, target the current position. If any of these keys are held down, move the target, you know, left, right, up, or down appropriately based on the key. Yeah. So if I have both held down, I still get the same behavior.
Uh,
If I hold down one and then press another, it
it didn't look like you had the same. So what two are you holding down? It's not a matter of just two. Like
um
like
oh, I
dub.
have a breakpoint on scroll still.
So
Okay, so I'll say what I'm doing with my
yeah,
hands. I'm pressing down W, and I'm going to press W and then roll to S. I'm still holding it down, but I got stuck. I'm going to
you do
press
that one more.
S.
Can you do that one more time?
Sure, I'm going to press W and roll to S. So I'm going to hold down W, and then I'm going to hold down Sorry, I'm going to hold down A, I mean. Press W and hold down A.
Okay.
So,
That
so that looks correct,
looks
except
okay.
that I got stuck.
Except that you got stuck.
And then I'll do hold down S and add D.
No. The other test is W and S or A and D.
Yeah, okay. I'll do just both at the same time.
All right,
That
no
makes
jiggle.
sense.
No jiggle.
Yeah, a little bit as I let go, but that makes sense because I had one let go first. Okay, W and S. Yeah, that makes sense. Again, if I let go S, I should move up, and then I get stuck. If I let go W, I should move down, and I get stuck.
It is interesting when you let go, it then lets you go for the same amount of time. Like it jiggles the handle.
Yeah, so it doesn't feel like a key repeat problem.
Correct. Because it's not getting into a state after a certain amount of time. It's getting
just, once you've been moving for a certain amount of time, it
tells
shuts
you to
off.
F off.
Most of the time. There's definitely like now it's working fine, and I don't know why.
Did you change the zoom?
No.
Mm.
Now it's like really consistently working fine. I'm doing a tap on D and then W.
Hmm.
Well, this is going to have to be a cliffhanger.
Indeed.
It's about time. What the hell? I'll probably have to figure out a way to show a little bit more about what the game thinks is being held down. Because this like streaming log spam is not enough. You know?
Yeah, it's definitely a weird state that it's getting into.
Where'd that lock go? Here it is.
Uh-oh. Badger interceding in the final moments. With the cliffhanger.
Yeah, I think Badger's also giving us a cliffhanger.
Indeed. At exactly 44 minutes and 59 seconds. It's pretty solid. Well, we'll figure it out. I think
Yeah.
I think the fact that you thought we were using the PD controller and we weren't, it's kind of like something to think about. I don't think it's the cause of this because it seems like
we are.
Oh.
We are. It's right here. I was confused reading this code.
I thought I thought you said it was just for the Zoom that we were doing it.
So, we are using PD controller for the lateral movement, up, down, left, right, and we're just using a simpler way to control the scroll, the camera size. Camera size is not hooked into PD controller, but camera position is.
Let's see.
And camera position is where we're having the problem.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Well,
hopefully I have this fixed by next time.
It'll be interesting to see what it actually was because it's not like a horrifyingly bad thing. It's just that you do zoom around or pan and dolly around a bit, and it's like one of those like gets in your craw situations where you're like, oh, you just get that thing squared up.
Yeah, as you were away when I decided to start looking into it, but that's what I said. I was like, this is just low key really frustrating because like it doesn't.
All right then.
Anyways,
another fine meeting on the books. We'll be back again on Thursday. Maybe the camera will be different. We'll have more stuff in the game potentially. Reminder that this coming Monday we're not streaming. Thanks a bunch for everyone who hung out. Go out with the hand wave, and we will check you out next time.